You've been there, right? You're scrolling online, you see a stranger doing something just ridiculous, and you feel this pull, this urge to jump into the comments. So, yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about why that happens, what's really going on inside our heads when we become judge, jury, and, well, keyboard executioner.
So let's meet Alex. It's late, he's just scrolling, and bam, he sees a video that just makes his blood boil. He just fires off a comment, a little digital cannonball of pure rage. And for a second there, it feels so good. But that feeling, that little rush of righteousness, that's the beginning of a really deep psychological trap.
And that really is the big question, isn't it? Why does it feel so good to judge a total stranger, someone you'll never meet, based on, a 30-second clip? Why does it feel so satisfying, so right? Well, the answer tells us a whole lot about our brains and maybe even more about the internet itself.
Okay, so let's start with that very first moment, that feeling Alex gets, that we all get, right after hitting post. See, this isn't just about having an opinion. It's a full-on chemical reaction. It's our brain's reward system just kicking into overdrive.
So the trigger, it's a video we've all seen some version of, right? Some guy, red in the face, absolutely losing it in a coffee shop. The clip is short, it's totally out of context, and it is the perfect kindling for a digital firestorm. And just like that, within hours, millions of people, Alex included, are watching.
All right, let's really break down that feeling, because it's not just anger, is it? It's righteousness, that powerful feeling of being on the right side of things. It's validation, as the likes and the replies start rolling in. And that little physical buzz you get, yeah, that's dopamine. That's your brain's reward system going, oh yeah, that was good, do that again. It's literally the same reward loop that social media platforms are built on to keep us hooked on that whole cycle of outrage and reward. Okay, so that's the what of the feeling. But to really get the why, we've got to look under the hood. We need to talk about the cognitive biases, the little glitches in our brain's programming that the internet is just perfectly designed to exploit. Think of them like bugs in our mental software.
So first up, we've got a big one. It's called the fundamental attribution error. And to put it simply, it means that when we see someone else screw up, our first instinct is to think it's because they're a bad person, like it's a fundamental flaw in their character.
And this is where you see this huge double standard, right? When that guy in the video yells, he's a monster. But if we snap at someone, oh, well, we didn't get enough sleep, work is super stressful, the traffic was a nightmare. We give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. We see our own rich, complicated 3D life. For them, we just slap on a 2D label and call it a day. Which brings us to the second big glitch, and it's summed up perfectly by this quote from a UX researcher. The screen itself, it actually changes us. It acts like a shield, creating this barrier between us and the real-world consequences of what we say.
Now, there's a technical term for this. It's called the Online Disinhibition Effect. See, in the real world, we have all these social guardrails, right? Eye contact, body language, just the simple fact that the other person is right there. It all keeps our worst impulses in check. But online, poof, those guardrails just vanish, and we become, well, disinhibited.
And believe it or not, it goes even deeper. Psychologists call it solipsistic introjection. I know, it's a mouthful, but it's a pretty simple and powerful idea. Basically, when you're reading text on a screen, you're not hearing their voice. You're hearing a voice you've created inside your own head. You're the one assigning the tone, imagining the personality. You've essentially invented a character for that little avatar on the other side. So you're not arguing with a real person anymore. You're fighting a villain of your own creation.
And this all feeds directly into what's called social identity theory. Look, at our core, we're tribal. We have this deep, deep need to belong. So online, we instantly create an us, the good guys, the people who are rightfully mad about the oat milk guy, and a them, which is, of course, the bad guy. And attacking them becomes a way to signal your loyalty to us. It's like a performance to show you're on the right team. And it's all supercharged by algorithms that are designed to feed you more of what makes you angry, just to keep you clicking.
And finally, we get to maybe the most personal reason of all, projection. Sometimes the things that make us irrationally angry about a stranger, they're actually reflections of the parts of ourselves we don't like, or maybe even fear. It's what the psychologist Carl Jung called the shadow self. So Alex didn't just hate the oat milk guy. He was actually reacting to his own deep-seated fear of losing control under pressure.
So there you have it. It's this potent cocktail of dopamine, brain glitches, and tribal instincts. But here's the thing we forget. In every single one of these digital pylons, there's a real, breathing human being at the center of that storm. And almost every single time, we get the story completely wrong.
The entire internet, Alex right along with them, built their case on a 30-second video. They saw the what, but they had no idea about the why. There was a huge piece of the puzzle just missing.
Because the story didn't start when someone hit record. The real story, the human story, started 5 minutes earlier. It started with a single devastating phone call.
So here it is. Here's the context the internet never saw. The man they labeled an entitled jerk was actually a husband in shock. His wife had just been in a serious car accident. He wasn't mad about oat milk. He was terrified and feeling completely powerless, and a broken coffee machine was just the final straw that broke him. And the part no one saw, he came back an hour later full of remorse and apologized to the barista. The internet never saw that.
So what happens when the real story finally comes out? Does the mob apologize? Of course not. They just pivot. It's something called hindsight bias. Suddenly, everyone's saying, "Oh, I knew there was more to the story." It's a clever little mental trick that lets them feel like they were never actually wrong, they were just missing a few facts.
Okay, so knowing all this is one thing, but what do we do about it? How do we actually fight against our own worst instincts online? How do we break this cycle? Well, it takes a conscious choice. It takes a new set of rules for how we show up online.
And I absolutely love this metaphor. That quick hit of judgment, it's fast food. It tastes amazing for a second, but it leaves you feeling kind of sick and empty. Empathy, though, now that's a home-cooked meal. It takes more time, more effort for sure, but it's so much more nourishing in the end.
So here's a super practical toolkit for what's called cognitive empathy. Just 3 simple steps. Step 1 is the pause. That's it. Just wait 5 minutes before you react. This gives that initial chemical rage rush time to fade so your rational brain can catch up. Step 2, the just like me check. Force yourself to ask, what would have to be happening in my own life for me to act like that? This totally short-circuits that fundamental attribution error we talked about. And finally, step 3, humanize the avatar. Seriously, before you hit send, just imagine that person is sitting right across from you. Would you still say it to their face? It brings back all those social guardrails that the screen takes away.
And the thing is, this stuff actually works. So when the next viral video makes the rounds, this time it's some poor kid dropping a wedding cake, Alex doesn't jump in. He doesn't join the pylon. Instead of just attacking, he remembers a time he really screwed up, and he shares that feeling. He chooses vulnerability over judgment, connection over condemnation.
Because ultimately, it all comes down to this one choice. The algorithms, the platforms, they are designed to reward outrage. They want you to be a judge because your anger drives engagement, and engagement drives their profits. So the question you have to ask yourself every single time you scroll is simple. The algorithm wants a judge. What do you want to be?